Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you again for checking out my video. Hoping you are all doing well and that you've loved the videos that I've put out so far. So in today's video, we will be talking about study skills, just to share some tips that I've used that have worked for me, hoping that you will put them into good use and that they will also help you as you make your studying much more manageable. So it is Heritage Month, and so to celebrate I decided today to wear my traditional Xhosa duk. I am Xhosa, and also I'm just wearing my Africa t-shirt for the love of Africa and our diversity and heritage. Hope you have a great one and that you take some time to reflect of who you are, what your heritage is, and what it means to you, and how you can take that and have it impact the person that you are. So one of the things that are very important, you have to make the most of the time that you have, and that you have to start early, that you cannot play catch up close to writing tests, close to writing exams. Some people would leave their studying right up until the end and end up studying throughout the night. That really does nothing for you except to make you very exhausted, and you could really just black out while you're taking a test or an exam. So I really just urge you to start prioritizing your studies right at the beginning of the year. Break it down, have a plan to say, on these days I will study this subject and this is how much I will study, and in that way you build up on the knowledge, and that you're not under pressure then at the end when it's close to exam time, any assessments or tests that you will be required to write. Now you need to think about where you are going to study, when you are going to study, and just how long you are going to study. So in terms of where you are going to study, you need to have a dedicated place. That does a lot for you in terms of preparing your mindset, just preparing your mind to know that when I sit here, it is time to study. And obviously you need to make sure that you know how long you can absorb information, that you are able to take breaks in between, that you don't study for hours on end, because you will retain very little of the information if you do that. So it is suggested that you break your studying into about 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and that you take then about 5 minutes or 10 minutes break in between, because in that way then you will retain a bit more of the information. Now you need to find time to study. Obviously you have to have a balance in your life. You've got to have fun, you've got to work. So you do need to prioritize your studying, that you don't give too much time to other things that interest you, or fun time with your friends, just hanging out with them or going out. You have to find time to study. And also you need to understand what type of learner that you are. Some people are visual learners. They will not benefit much from listening to somebody teach them something. So if you are a visual learner, you need to imagine the work or imagine the information in your head. In that way you will remember the picture that you had. So there's something also that is called active learning, where you are continuously processing the information as somebody's talking to you. If it's your teacher, if it's your lecturer, as they are talking, think about the information. So some people are auditory learners, where you're quite comfortable listening to somebody and you will absorb the information, and you will benefit from both the visual part of the learning and also just the auditory part, which is hearing somebody teach you. So we are different in how we learn. So you've got to identify the type of learner that you are, and obviously try to maximize on the way that you prefer learning. Okay, so next I will just move on to just a few things that you need to keep in mind as you learn. You must read to apply. Reading is an active exercise. So there is a gentleman that I listen to, his name is Jim Quigg. He describes our learning process as learning is actually creating. That means you don't just sit and receive information and just take in, but interrogate what you are learning, think about it, ask how ask, what can I apply this to? What does it mean to me? Have I had this information, as I mentioned earlier? So you need to be processing the information, and in that way you will really learn with understanding. Now I'm going to move on again just to talk a bit about note-taking. Note-taking is very important, and more importantly, it is noted that we tend to learn more when we actually take handwritten notes. Now, why that is important is that when you're taking notes, also very important that you don't take notes verbatim, meaning word by word. You need to take notes, summarize and just, paraphrase what you are understanding the person to be saying in terms of the subject that they are teaching on. So note taking is also a very important way that helps us to retain information more. And also it's important that you highlight important parts, where the highlighting will help you to just emphasize or to underline the important elements then of whatever you are studying. Obviously, if it's your own book, you can highlight, not a library book, please. So you can underline or highlight, the important points that you're picking up from whatever you are learning. So yeah, the highlighting then makes it easy in us then going back to when you like reading the information, that you can quickly identify at a glance the areas where you've identified as the main point, and that will help you just to spark and make you remember then, okay, this is the part that I highlighted, and then you would be able hopefully to recall what you studied around each of those points where you've highlighted. I'm going to just move to just talking about some strategies that you can use. Now, one is using acronyms. Now, an acronym, I'm sure you will know, but I will just explain anyway. It's taking a sentence, taking the first letters of each word and just making up an acronym. I will make an example. When we use an acronym all the time, laugh out loud. So an acronym for laugh out loud is LOL. Now, next we also use mnemonics. I struggle with this word, please forgive me. I'm going to try again. It's mnemonics. Now, mnemonics is when you take the work that you're doing and you make up a sentence. Now, the acronyms and mnemonics are useful when you have to learn material where you will be required, when you are tested or assessed or in an exam, to list some things. Now, an example then of a mnemonic that is used to remember the order of planets would be: my very excellent mother just served us vine pizzas. Now, the first letter of each of the words I've just said represent each planet. For example, my very excellent mother, that's for Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. And then just served as vine pizzas, that would be Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Venus, and Pluto. So as you read, then you can make up your own acronyms, you can make up your own mnemonics, just to assist yourself then to order things and to make sure that you remember where you will be required to list information. Next, I'm going to talk about active listening, which we actually did speak a little bit about earlier. Now, active listening is very important in getting you to understand the work, to make connections in terms of what the information means to you. For example, you need to ask questions like, how does this relate to my life? Now, if I'm learning about water, I could think about how important water is to us as humans, or even the plants and the animals out there. Now, and you can think about another question to say, have I read this information elsewhere before? You probably would have maybe watched on the news about how there's water shortages everywhere. You are just trying to think about the work, and in doing that with active listening, and you are learning really to understand. you follow that process then. And also you can ask yourself, what does this have to do with the world at large? Now, on the topic about water, we know our bodies require a large percentage of water, and also water shortages, go beyond us just drinking, but they also affect global warming, which then leads to the weather issues that we have. So see how I started with just learning about water, and I took the whole information all the way to global warming, just because I was making connections in terms of what this information means and how it then affects the world at large and myself. Now, we did speak earlier about making sure that you have a designated space to study, to make sure that you don't have any distractions and that you have a great mindset as a starting point, and that in turn then will help you to be more productive. Now, I'm not going to go deep on the next one, which is highlighting. We did speak about highlighting, how it helps you to identify the main points of what you are learning. And a very important strategy to use as well is to create your own test. So do your set of questions and then answer the questions, and then go and look up to see how you performed in terms of answering those questions. So having a good mindset, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, is more than just making sure that you set up properly to get yourself into that learning zone, but also you need to keep a positive mindset that you tell yourself that you are going to do whatever it takes for you to just get through your work. I mean, going back to me suggesting that you prioritize your learning time from the very beginning of the year, very beginning of the term or semester if you are doing your tertiary studies. So it is said that people remember 10% of what they read, 20% of what they hear, 30% of what they see, 50% of what they see and hear, and 70% of what they say and write, and 90% of what they do. There's further improvement if we say it and write it. That goes back to that note taking that we talked about, to say it helps you in retaining information. We just spoke about the increase in what we remember when we see and hear what we learn. Now I'm going to talk a bit about visualizing the information. Now, there are different ways that we can do this. For example, I think I did mention this earlier, you can picture the information that you're learning about in your head. Now, I could picture water, I could picture water shortages, maybe along certain areas, the river, where you see the river bank is far from where the water is. So that's just making mental notes or pictures in our head to help us to think and remember the information. Another way of visualizing is just to use mind maps. So mind maps are very useful when you're learning quite a large part of information, where you will draw your mind map with the main topic in the middle, and then you do the main points, and then you can have sub points under the main points in your mind map. Now, there's different ways that you can mind map, but it's really a nice way of just summarizing your work without writing a lot of notes, and it's really a great tool to use. I will link up a website where you can just go and check out the different mind maps that are available out there. Now, this is the end of the video. I do hope that you have learned and that you will be able to pick up a few strategies that will work for you. Once you've watched the video, please, I urge you to come back and just comment if there's any strategies that you would like to share. You're welcome to any strategies that have worked for you, and if there's anything that you've learned, do come back and just share on the comment section. Thank you for really coming back to check out this video. Don't forget to like the video, put on those notifications so that you don't miss out when I send my next video. Thank you, everyone.